thanks to the support as a channel member, Jacob Barnett. Boys and girls, here's the plan. This summer, finishing touches to the squad. We've got a couple of £100 million to spend. That should be doable. Win the Champions League at the first time of asking. Finally, then go on and win the Club World Cup for, I think, the first time ever. Certainly the first time it's been in its new form across any saves. And then go find a club somewhere else in Europe to finish off FM24 in style, somewhere sunny, where we can continue just running a wonder kid factory. It all starts with a good transfer window now, though, but I think that's a good plan for the final few weeks of FM24. Hello and welcome to Club 2, Part 8 of Non-Lethal Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, it is our season review and transfer special at the end of, dare I say, the greatest season in the history of Manchester United. We've won the treble. They can't have ever done better than that at any point in their past, right? This is the big treble. The Premier League, the FA Cup and the Conference League. This is the big one. Ferguson could never. Look at all the money we've got to spend. £200 million of transfer budget, over £1 million a week spare in the transfer budget. Even after these transfers have gone through, we've already arranged the sale of Ugarte. Sudakov is joining us permanently from Spurs for a deal rising up to £67 million. Bruno Muniz is joining us for £42 million from Sporting to be our new right winger. Very excited about him. He was described in the chat the other day as a Cristiano Ronaldo regen. We'll see, I guess, but I mean, I think he's going to be quite special. And we've also got Felice Heilbronn coming in from Coventry, who we signed at Coventry last summer for the bargain price of £2.5 million. And now I'm going to prove that I'm a genius and he's a genuine wonder kid by bringing him into Manchester United. Coventry have made a jolly nice profit on him, but even with those deals already arranged, we've still got that kind of budget. So looking at the squad, is this... Yeah, this does take into account the new transfers. So if we have a look through the squad, I think we need a backup goalkeeper. Although that being said, of course, we have got Harry Black. I mean, he's only 15. We probably can't rely on a 15-year-old goalkeeper as our backup. So although he's going to be great eventually, I think we need a backup goalkeeper for now. Costa's 32. If he gets an injury, that's a problem. I think we still need a right back. We've got Zay Sarau, who is a wonder kid, but he's only 20. We've got Everton Antonio, who is a wonder kid, but only 20, and might end up turning into a centre-back. Yeah, like 5'8", he probably won't. So you could argue we don't need a right back. We just need those two to be 23 rather than 20. But if we can find a proper, like, elite level right back, we'll bring one in. Otherwise, we stick with the wonder kids. At left back, again, there's an argument we perhaps need one. We've got Aketsi, who is now at 23 an elite fullback. That's what we need at right back. I think we probably need a proper backup to him. We panic bought Asnu last summer. He's not all that. We could probably sell him on. I don't think Ayala's got much of a future at the club. We can probably sell him on and then bring in another top level left back to compete with Aketsi. And I don't think that weakens the squad at all. At centre back, obviously we sold Delict in January, but Lenny Yoro returned from his loan, although he's not having a very nice time since doing that, so we might give up on Yoro. He's on a lot of money and he's not a regular starter, so I think even though he's homegrown at club, if we can get big money for him, I think he's earning too much money to be a backup for us. He's the remnants of the old way of doing things at Manchester United, as are Maninho and Scalvini. You can say I waste money all you like. Of those four centre-backs, I signed one of them. Yeah, the best one, the one who's on a third of the money of the rest of them. The previous regime lost their mind. I mean, if we sold all three of them and bought in three new centre-backs in the Mamishi mould, I wouldn't be heartbroken. We probably shouldn't do it all in one summer. But if maybe Yoro and Scalvini can move on, we've then got the youngster Micho, who is at Barcelona on loan at the moment. He's 6'6", and you can't teach that. So we slot him in, and then we only need to bring in one more if we let Scalvini and Yoro leave. So that's probably the plan there. At the base of the midfield, let's go next season, because obviously we're losing Ugarte. He's on his way to Real Madrid. But I think we probably move Larson back to be our starting defensive midfielder. We've got Team Rocket knocking around as well, who's homegrown at club, only 21, going to get better, so he can step up into the Ugarte void. And I wouldn't be offended if we brought in another defensive midfielder as well. Larson obviously is probably better used further forward, but that's not to say he won't slot in very nicely at the base of the midfield if needs be. But we don't really have a direct Agate replacement in the squad unless it's Rocket. But we don't want to be sticking to young up-and-comers in too many positions. Rocket is the ideal player to have as a backup, similar to at the right-back position. Sarau and Antonio, great backups potentially, but if we could find a real elite right-back coming over the top of him, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's going to be the same situation at the base of the midfield with Agate not here, and an Agate level replacement wouldn't be a disaster. Further forward, we've obviously got Joe Ireland. We've got Elunga, who is one of the best strikers in the world, but we are still training to play central midfield. But I think for now, we assume he's a striker, especially with Samu probably leaving the club. I think we're done with Samu. Van der Winden's on the left. Elunga's probably going to be our main man up front with Heilbronn, Muniz, Nizinho, who's a Brazilian wonder kid who scored loads of goals for Sunderland. We've got plenty of players who can be backup. Bentes got some game time towards the end of last season. Vieto got some game time towards the end of last season. So I think we can sell Samu and not need to do any more. Heilbronn and Muniz coming in is enough. On the right, we've still got Garnacho. We've got Muniz coming in. I think we're fine there. Shea Lacey's back up for both sides. And then on the left, we've got Van der Winden as the starter. Ireland played out there a bit. Garnacho can play out there a bit. I guess if Van der Winden's competing with Elunga for a starting spot, you could argue there's space for one guy who can either play up front or out wide on the left. Probably out wide on the left because we don't want him to get in the way of Heilbronn. So maybe an out-and-out left winger. Maybe Hart from Coventry is the man who comes in to be that out-and-out left winger, and we let Otter leave. And then potentially another central midfielder as well, although we have got youngster Ricky Pilbro, who's on loan at Marseille currently, another one who's homegrown at the club. Herrera, another youngster, goes into the same category. Bags of potential. 5 caps for Argentina. He's only 22. Is this the year he steps up? Is this the year we move Mainu on? We've got Kuanov as another wonder kid. There's not obvious weaknesses in the squad. That's why we won the league. I think we're probably already good enough to win the Champions League as well, but we've got £200 million to spend. So we may as well do the little marginal improvements where we can. So to summarise a shopping list, elite level right back, big, awesome centre back, and Hart, I think is probably my shopping list. As we already have a name for one of those guys, let's go and check in with Colin Hart. He'd cost us £80 million to bring in from Coventry, still only 20. My one concern with Colin Hart is his potential is not showing us 5 stars anymore. So it might be that he's already maxing out. It even says on there that he could improve slightly. How does he compare to Van der Winden? In fact, Otter is probably the one to compare him with because he's the one he'd be replacing in the squad. There's not a lot in it, is there, between the two of them? Otter is a guy that we spent like 60 million on last summer. I mean, if we got 100 million for him and spent 80 on Hart, I do that. But I don't think I bring in Hart unless Otter leaves. So we need big offers for Otter. If we can just swap them, then we swap them. I think that's a big if, though. There's lots to do. Let's see what happens, eh? So before we go any further, let's do our season review at the end of the treble winning season. As you can see, we've got the 3 trophies on there, which is all jolly nice to see. Signing of the season went to Elunga. But bearing in mind that's in a season where we signed Joe Ireland, that shows how good Elunga has been. 34 appearances, 25 goals, 8 assists, a 7.43 average rating. Contrast him to Samu, who got 2 league goals for us, 12 in all competitions. We've just accepted a £67 million bid for him from Paris Saint-Germain. So Samu probably on his way out, which means we'll probably need one more attacking player coming in, as we were mentioning before. I think it might be Endrick. Endrick's just come up on the scout reports. He's only 25, can play across the front 3. Maybe we're going to sign Endrick. We'll see. But yeah, we'll get back to transfers in a minute. The pre-season expectation was get into Europa League, I think, and we ended up winning the league, which the board are obviously very happy with. Didn't fill Old Trafford on a regular basis, which is something Manchester United fans got to sort yourselves out. Biggest win of the year was an 8-0 win, which is bonkers. Club reputation has obviously remained unchanged. Some of the revenue stuff is down, presumably because they were in Europa League or maybe even Champions League the year before. I haven't checked. But a Conference League season is going to do this to your finances if you're a club the size of Manchester United. And as you would expect, Ireland sells more shirts than anybody. This was our team of the year. Costa in goal. Aketsi, Menino, Scalvini and Sarau. Agate, Ireland and Larson. Then Van der Winden, Lacey and Ilunga. I mean, one of these things is not like the others. Shea Lacey, definitely the weak link. That's why we're bringing Moniz in. And I'm very happy that that signing is already confirmed. Joe Ireland wins Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year. Signing of the season, of course, was Ilunga. How Ireland isn't, I don't really understand. Just Football Manager things. Ilunga, top scorer. Lacey, most assists. 25 assists from Shea Lacey. I may have been a little bit harsh on him. It is worth bearing in mind the vast majority of them would have been in the Conference League. 12 assists in the Conference League. To be fair, he does have 10 in the Premier League in only 22 starts. So he's not letting us down when we use him. He's a very useful squad player to have knocking around. He's never going to be a nailed-on starter for me, though, I don't think. Most man of the matches went to Ireland, also highest average rating. And Shea Lacey set the new club record for assists in a season. And we also had some competition prize winners. So Lacey, Conference League Player of the Year. Van der Winden, Northwest Football Awards Rising Star of the Season. Diogo Costa won the Premier League Golden Glove. I don't know why we've got the Premier League real name fix on, but clearly it doesn't fix the Golden Glove name. Ilunga won Young Player of the Year. Joe Ireland won Conference League Young Player of the Year, and Everton Antonio was the European Golden Boy. Moniz, who's coming in, won Next Gen. So we've got that as well. All in all, you'd call that quite a good season at Manchester United. There's your all-time best 11. And right, we're adding another goal to this season. By the end of this season, the all-time best 11 will be a back four, because this is just some weird perversion that Manchester United shouldn't ever be playing. And I'm not a Manchester United fan, but seeing Man United with a back three in game and in real life, absurd. That kind of nonsense needs to end immediately. All this stuff we don't need to worry too much about. The board presumably are looking for us to win the league again. They want us to develop the best youth system in the world, which is fair enough. We are Manchester United. They want us to win the Premier League and get to the latter stages of the Champions League. I mean, that seems reasonable. I want to win the Champions League, but it is our first year back in, so we don't know how competitive we're going to be. We haven't played in the Champions League in this save, so it might not be as easy as the Conference League was. Controversial statement, I know. Right, let's tell the boys that we want to win the league again. They seem happy with that. We've sent them all on holiday, or we're about to send them all on holiday. They're off to China. Have a lovely time in China. And now I can get back to doing transfers. So we're trying to bring in this guy, Matthew Gibbons, as our new left back. He's a 22-year-old English right back. Sorry, 22-year-old English right back. He's 6'1" and very quick, which is exactly what I want out of a right back. He's got one England cap. He's better than any of the right backs we've currently got. He's played a full season in the Premier League for Ipswich, and they've just narrowly survived in the Premier League, but it's ready for him to take the step up and come to Manchester United. So he's hopefully coming in. As mentioned, Samu is hopefully on his way out, and then we're just waiting for these transfers to complete. And then like I say, we might go and get Hendrick if I'm feeling silly. Right, so the transfer window is open. There's your confirmation that Samu has left the club. £67 million to go to Paris Saint-Germain after what, frankly, was a pathetic season for us, but we've made a nice little profit on him. And we have three new boys arriving. Matthew Gibbons, the lad from Ipswich, is in. 22-year-old English right back, 3.5 stars of current ability, 4.5 stars of potential. He will do as the slightly older, slightly better right back I was looking for. Bruno Moniz. This is exciting. He's already 4.5 stars of current ability at 19 years old. Possibly the greatest signing I've ever made in Football Manager. We'll see. £42 million for him. It was his release clause at Sporting. I am giddy. And then Felice Heilbronn, 3 stars current ability, 5-star potential. He can just be the backup up front behind Ilunga this coming season. Let's get them all on their courses. You can see I have added Hendrick as a transfer target. So my Director of Football is now negotiating that deal, which we should probably talk about that. Obviously, non-league to legend, we do try to do things realistically. And I feel like at a club like Manchester United, this is the realistic way to do transfers. So rather than me exploiting the never and trying to get players as cheaply as possible, what I tend to do is add them as transfer targets and let my director of football negotiate them, because I feel like that's how transfers happen at big clubs. So we've made an offer of £85 million for Endrick, which is interesting. And now my board are negotiating that deal. If he comes in, he comes in. I would obviously like him because he's going to give us competition for places across the front three, and also be another top level striker for us to have to replace Samu. He's just really at 25, just had his breakthrough season at Real Madrid, really. 13 goals from 16 starts. He's never really been a regular starter before, but now is starting to start regularly at Real Madrid, breaking into the Brazil national team. Now's the time to get him before he becomes a proper world superstar. He's already considered an elite striker. At 25, I think it's now or never for a player like that. So fingers crossed we get him in. I didn't add this guy to my shopping list, and I'm not really interested in getting him. I mean, I think midfield is an area we need players less than centre-back. So I'm tempted to go back to Coventry and get Burrows. Where are they? Coventry. Levi Burrows. We've just re-scouted him. Yes, he'd be very expensive, but he's 21. He's an England international. He's 6'6", which always appeals to me. And he's still showing as having 5 stars of potential. He's the only other one at the Coventry squad with those 5 stars of potential. I guess he's the only one now because we took Heilbronn. And it would be quite nice to link up with one of my former players again, plus give Coventry some spensies. So we might go and get Burrows next. I think I'm going to withdraw the offer for Bajcetic for this guy. We don't need him. I don't think. We don't need him. Let's see if we end up getting Endrick. We've also got another 6'6" centre-back that we're working on, Mohamed Bourras. In fact, we should probably compare him with Burrows and work out who we'd want more if the opportunity presented itself. So Bourras definitely a better defender. Burrows a better attacker and a little bit quicker, because Burrows obviously could play as an accomplished attacking midfielder or right winger as well, which was always the insane thing about Levi Burrows. I mean, really, he's probably the prototype perfect flying right wing back. But that's not what we're after. We're after a proper centre-back, and we probably will take Bourras if he agrees to come to us. With those first couple of transfers done, we've still got over £200 million to spend as well. So there's plenty more business to be done. We're also looking to shift some players on. So there's going to be some more outs, not just Samu. It's going to be a busy summer. Well, Endrick is in for £85 million, 4 stars of current ability, 4-star potential. He's not going to get any better. He's already pretty good. So fingers crossed, we've got a good in there. We've got £117 million left to spend. We are hopefully getting Ayala and Asnu out of the club for another 60 million or so. But we're not going to be able to get both of these boys. We've got offers in for them both. We'll see who agrees first, I guess. Bourras is off getting his work permit, but if Burrows agrees right now, he gets in ahead of Bourras. I'm just going to let my director of football, I mean, he might agree to sign both of them in the end, or we might have to delay one of them until if we can get them both, that's great, because then we can move Yoro on. Levi Burrows has just squeezed in. He got in before the work permit. So Levi Burrows is a Manchester United player. I mean, he's already an elite centre-back at 21. He's off, I think, I don't know what he's playing for England at the moment. He didn't have 4 England caps before. But a 21-year-old, 6'6" centre-back, 3.5 stars of current ability, 5 stars of potential. I mean, that's an incredible signing. It was an incredible signing for Coventry. He's an incredible signing for us as well. Coventry, by the way, got an absolute ton of money to spend this summer now, because we've given them the best part of 150, more than that, like £170 million for Heilbronn and Burrows. So hopefully they go and spend that sensibly and can use that to build a club for the future. With that Burrows transfer, we're down to £18 million of budget. Obviously, we have some wage budget to shift around and 2 players potentially leaving. So we could potentially get Burras as well. If we get 2 6'6" centre-backs this summer, along with the one who's on his way back from Barcelona, that would be 3 6'6" centre-backs. And we then need to start moving some guys like Yoro and potentially Menino or Scalvini on. This is all coming together very nicely. Look at the state of this squad. Oh, my word. They're delicious. They are delicious. Right, Mohamed Burras is in as well. That's our third 6'6" centre-back. We're probably going to score some goals from corners next season, but he's in for £72 million. We paid for him by selling Adam Asnu to Real Sociedad for £23.5 million. So we did take a slight loss on him, but he did a job while he was here. And Maninho has gone to Atletico for £68 million. I didn't realise until after I'd agreed it that he's actually homegrown at club because he'd been here so long. Similar to, if we let him and Yoro leave, we potentially start running into European registration issues. So we have to be a little bit careful. But thinking about it, we've still got Garnacho, Lacey, Mainu. There's probably others that are homegrown at club. Rocket. So we've got 4 and then plenty more who are homegrown in England, like Burrows, etc. So I think we're probably okay. But we do need to be a little bit mindful of that and not let too many more of the homegrown boys leave. We are failing Champions League FFP currently, which I'm not going to worry about yet because I imagine we'll get a sponsorship come through before too long to fix it. I hope. There's also other players we're still looking to sell. So if we can let, what's his face, the other defender go who we were trying to get rid of. I have to remind myself who Ayala we're trying to get rid of. He turned down a move to Real Madrid. So we'd like him to leave. And then looking at our centre-backs with Burras now in, we definitely don't need Yoro. We've put him on the transfer list. Chelsea and Barcelona are interested in him. Can we convince either of them to make an offer? Not yet. I think we probably let Yoro leave. I wouldn't be against Scalvini going as well because we've got Mimishi, who's our best defender, and then Burras, Micho, Burrows. So if Scalvini were to leave as well, that wouldn't be the end of the world, and that would then allow us to go and get a midfielder. Because I think a midfielder would still be handy too. I'm having a lovely time. I love these kind of transfer windows. It's fun. So we've made it through to the 1st of July. Our transfers have gone through, which means Sudakov joins for £67 million. Rooney Bargi goes the other way for £36.5 million at the end of his loan. Agate joins Barcelona. Maninho joins Atletico. Asnu joins Real Sociedad, which as it stands means that according to the in-game select best 11 thing, not full rotation, where is it? Pick best 11. This is our best team. Costa in goal, Aketsi, Scalvini, Memishi and Gibbons, Larson, Mainu and Ireland, Garnacho, Moniz and Ilunga. So several of the new boys. Got to take a little while to force their way into that team. Obviously, we want rid of Lenny Yoro. We do still have money to spend as well, and the Champions League thing has fixed itself with all those deals going through. Obviously, the £220 million there hadn't actually come in until the transfer is completed. So that's all fixed. One thing we are going to have to do, off the back of selling Agate, we've had to make a promise to the players that we're going to bring in a defensive midfielder. So I think we're going to go back in for Badjatic, who my director of football wanted before, because I think he'll fit that gap in the squad. I don't think there's necessarily any really good young ones we can go get. And we don't really want a young one. We need someone who's good enough to come in and be a part of the first team. And I don't think that such a thing exists in the shape of a wonder kid. So we might go and get that guy. The squad is excellent. What an excellent squad. Possibly, and I've said this kind of thing before, but possibly the best squad I've ever put together on Football Manager. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players in the Media Dream 11. We don't win the Champions League this year. I'm a silly goose. Good old Football Manager promises not working. We've signed Bajicic. Bajicic. you're going to have to let me know in the comments how we say it. We've signed him. He is an elite defensive midfield player. 4 stars of current ability. We've put him on the squad planner right up there with Scalvini as one of our main men. And apparently I still need to strengthen the team in defensive midfield, which, by the way, on the squad planner is a 4.5-star position where we've got an incredible amount of strength in depth. It's one of the strongest areas in the entire squad, and we've just signed an elite player to add to that group. But we're going to have a little player mutiny on our hands in about 50 days when Memishi and Aketsi and Gibbons all get a grumpy on because we didn't sign anybody else. Hugo Larsson, we've just had a £103 million offer from Real Madrid for. We don't want to let him go, so we've agreed a price with him of 117 million. If they come back in and pay that, we're going to have to sign somebody new. He's not necessarily a nailed-on starter because Elunga could drop back and Van der Winden or Endrick could come in, or Heilbronn could come into the team up front. So it's not the end of the world if he goes, but I'd quite like him to stay. Right, we've cleared out the ones that needed clearing out. So this guy has gone to Saudi Arabia for £16 million. Yoro's gone to Chelsea for 67 million and halved his salary. If he'd have been willing to accept that money here, I'd have kept him. And we've also sold our backup defender from last season, Penetra, who was on loan at Barcelona, barely played for them, and has got himself a £625,000 a week contract at Al Ahly. We got 23.5 million from him as well. That's over £300 million of a player sold this summer, which means we now have over £100 million in our budget again. We've got our actual balance back into the positive as well, and we've not even got back into the Champions League yet. And the wage budget is like £1.5 million a week less than it was when I arrived. So despite the fact that financially we're going bananas, we're actually improving the club finances through all this as well, which is absolutely mad. I'm now happy with this squad. Obviously, we need to sign another defensive. We're not going to sign another defensive midfielder. We don't need one. I don't think we need anything at this point, apart possibly from a goalkeeper, because we've got a weird situation with Diogo Costa, where he's out of contract at the end of this coming season, but won't enter contract negotiations, and I don't understand why. This is because any new contract would be unable to offer an increase upon his current contract length. Of course we'd offer him a longer contract. But for some reason, he thinks we can't. Has he announced that he's retiring in a year? That would be insane if he is. He's still the best goalkeeper in the world. I can't work out why he thinks we can't offer him a 2-year contract. He's only 32. But I can't offer him a longer contract. So he might end up pre-contracting with someone in January, which is only 6 months away, 5 months away. So there's an argument we should probably be signing a goalkeeper. But I don't really want to, so I want him. So watch this space. We'll see how that one develops. And now we've got this. So Real Madrid want him. And he's out of contract in a year and we can't offer him a new contract. I think we probably have to sell him. If we're making realistic decisions, as we do, obviously we want to get as much as we possibly can for him. Let's agree a decent price with him. And then hopefully Real Madrid won't meet it. And then hopefully when the window closes, we can offer him. I don't understand. Right. We've agreed 101 million, so we can reject this offer. They'll probably come back and pay it though. Looking at goalkeepers that are available as well. If we sort this by goalkeepers to see who's actually available, one of the best options is Lucas Canizares at Real Madrid. So do we just offer a swap deal? Or do we wait for them to come and give us money? See, Costa's just much better at actual goalkeeping. I mean, we've got over £100 million to spend. We can go and buy any goalkeeper we want. It's just whether we want any of these. Do we go and get this guy? Brazil's goalkeeper off of Inter. It cost us quite a lot of money. But if we got 100 million for Costa, do we go and spend 175 million on him? I mean, it's insane, but I guess he's the guy if we want to go and get a new. But even then, he's not as good as Costa. There's Verbruggen, who's at Newcastle, so he's going to be expensive to bring in, and he's 20. I mean, Canizares, I think, is probably the one. Orestes at Bournemouth. It's weird that he's been at Bournemouth for as long as he has. See, he's just not close. None of them are close to Costa. Anyone's a downgrade. Tommy Setford's turned into a proper goalkeeper. That's an interesting one. Let's scout him properly. I don't like this. Hopefully they don't come back with another offer and we can kick the can down the road and he'll hopefully sign a new contract at some point, or we worry about it in January and next summer. We'll see, I guess. Well, I guess we have to accept this. 134 million. I don't want to sell him. This is going to be a downgrade, but he's going to kick off if we don't let him go, and he could go for nothing next summer. This is insane. But Diogo Costa is off to Real Madrid. Can we offer him a contract? He's currently unhappy at the club because he wants to join Real Madrid because they're a bigger club. Brilliant. We're winning the Champions League this year, Diogo. We need to sign a goalkeeper. Unless we just go with the 15-year-old. So Costa has joined Real Madrid. Interestingly, he has gone in there on just a 1-year contract. So maybe he is retiring? I think Diogo Costa is bugged. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. If he retires or gets released, I mean, we could bring him back in a year. We need to monitor this situation. But that could be an incredible piece of business if we sold him for £97 million and then he retired a year later. I don't understand what's going on there. Lucas Canizares has come in to replace him. He's been Real Madrid's starting keeper for the last 2.5 years. So although it's a slight downgrade, he at least is under contract beyond this season on less money and should be able to. I mean, he's Spain's regular goalkeeper, so he should be fine. We also brought in Gavi because Larson has still got his head turned by Real Madrid. He might go there as well. They've already forced through Costa. They've still got money to throw around, so they might force through Larson as well. And if they do, Gavi is the guy I wanted his replacement. So we brought him in now. He's also, of course, a world-class defensive midfielder. So theoretically, should solve the promise problem. It doesn't. It doesn't solve the promise problem. Agate's gone. He's been replaced by 2 world-class defensive midfielders, and those buffoons are still unhappy about it. So I don't know what more I'm supposed to do in that situation. Also, even with all of that business, we've still got £100 million to spend. We've still got loads of spare wage budget. It is completely impossible to run out of money at Manchester United, which is jolly nice to see. Also worthy of mention, we've got rid of a bunch of the young players on loan. So Bentes, Kuinov, Vieto have all gone out on loan. One player who won't be going out on loan this summer, Naizinho, who we signed last summer, wanted to sign the year before at Coventry, couldn't get in the team last year, went on loan at Sunderland, was great, has made his Brazil debut over the summer, and is now first team ready. 3 stars of current ability, 5 stars of potential, and he is going to be competing in that attack with the likes of Endrick, Heilbronn, Moniz. So you could argue, despite in the last 6 months losing Gyökeres and Samu, we are starting the new season even stronger in attack than we were this time last year, which is bonkers. I mean, look how good he is. Oh, he's a special boy. We've managed to move on a couple more players, just fringe guys. This guy has gone for £6.5 million. Herrera has gone on loan to West Ham for the season because we're just not likely to use him. Pilbro has gone back to Marseille for the 2nd season in a row on loan because, again, we're just not likely to use him, especially with Gavi turning up. And Larson is now happy to stay at the club. So it looks like we're going to be keeping him. We've still got a huge amount of strength in depth in midfield. I don't even know how we're going to fit Gavi in if Larson's going to stay. So if anything, we've got too many players in midfield. But we have played the Community Shield. We beat Manchester City 2-1 in that. And this is our 11 for the first game of the new season. I'm trying to be wary not to throw too many new players in. We've got Burrows and Boras together at centre-back with Canizares in a debut as the goalkeeper as well. So that's a combined height of 13 feet from our centre-backs there between Burrows and Boras. Obviously, we've got Scalvini still at the club. Memishi's picked up a knock. But with that little diamond there, because Bajcic is obviously new as well with Agate having moved on. So with that little diamond being the new players, I don't want to mess around too much further forward. So we're going with Lacey and Garnacho, I think. And the likes of what's his face, Moniz, will have to wait before he makes his league debut. He wasn't spectacular against Manchester City, only got a 6.6 in the Community Shield, so maybe he needs to learn English before he's a nailed-on starter. But it's still a very strong team, and for those of you who like the Manchester United purist stuff, still 3 academy boys in there, Garnacho, Lacey and Mainu. So we're keeping that up. It's going to be a struggle if we move beyond this season, because I imagine Lacey and, I mean, all 3 of them, they're not likely to be starters by the end of the season. Garnacho's probably got the best chance, but with Van der Winden and Moniz, even he's going to struggle to be starting regularly. But we'll see how they get on the first day of the season. Arsenal coming up very soon is a big important match when it comes to the title race. They're second favourites for the league. Is that a new gen? There's a new gen in the Dream 11, Manuel Kobo at Manchester City. They've just spent £158 million to bring him in from Chelsea. Wowzers. So we've now got a new gen central midfield partnership of Kobo and Ireland. So we're getting to the point. Canizares is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. Goodness me, I'm good at transfers. And we've sold this summer £441 million worth of players. So, yes, because a lot of the incoming transfer, we spent just shy of £1 billion last year because so many of this summer's signings went in on last year's budget. So, during my time at Manchester United now, I've spent £1.25 billion, but I have sold £900 million worth of players. So, we're actually, in just over a year, only at a net spend of about £300 million. We've completely revolutionised the squad. We don't even have a huge amount of transfer debt, and this will be fixed once Champions League money and prize money comes in for the year. The projection, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the projection. It's never been accurate anyway. But for a net spend of 300 million, I think that's a fantastic team, a fantastic bench. And look at the players who aren't even going to make the bench for the first day of the new season. Scalvini, Larson, Moniz, Van der Winden, Heilbronn. Woo! We're going to win everything this year, and you can't stop me. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.